The F1600 series visited VIR to begin the month of June, with rounds 7 through 9 happening in Virginia. Series officials started the weekend getting ahead of some aggressive driving, but all eyes were on championship points leader Scott Andrews and his exclusive Autosport team, winners of the last 2 races at Watkins Glen and 3 of 6 so far in the season. With a 20-car entry list at VIR, there'd be plenty of storylines, including 2 days of testing and practice, giving way to 3 races in just over 24 hours on Saturday and Sunday. In race 1 of the weekend, Team Pelfrey's Ben Oriyama looked poised to take his first win of the season and upset the black and red exclusive Autosport domination. He drafted right up to Andrews on the back stretch but couldn't make a move stick, with Andrews showing a little more power heading into VIR's roller coaster. That would give Andrews his 4th win in 7 starts and 7th straight podium to start the year. Race 2 followed on Sunday morning with the grid set on fast race laps from the previous event. Skylar Robinson, of course, was on the pole after setting the fastest lap in race 1 for Cahill Motorsports. One of the big storylines, however, would be Jordan Kane, who would have to come from the back and carve his way through the field for Team Pelfrey. Kane made his points-paying debut at VIR, having just turned 14. Of course, he ran in the winter exhibition event at Palm Beach, leading quite a few laps, racing against Kyle Kirkwood and Tonis Kazimitz. Kane, however, would have to be wise, just like everyone else, to conserve equipment since there were 2 races happening on Sunday. This didn't dampen the action at the front of the F1600 field, however, as it was a 3-wide show featuring exclusive Autosport, Team Pelfrey, and Cahill Motorsports, who all figured into a lead group of 12 cars fighting it out for the win. On board with Scott Andrews, showing why he's a points leader here. 3 wide on the inside into turn 1, and he takes the lead in the midpoint of the race. The drivers put on some of the best racing over the course of the year, often going 3 wide, challenging for the race lead over 12 laps. Very little contact in this one. As the laps wound down, however, Andrew Hobbs found his way back to the front of the field and looked like he might take the first win of the season for Team Pelfrey. But it was Scott Andrews sliding his way to the front of the field, and yet another win, taking the victory over Ben Oriyama and Andrew Hobbs. Let's hear from the top 2.
So we started off 7th, and I managed to make a good start. I followed my teammate through, and he created a little bit of a gap for me, and from then it was pretty much us against the Pelfrey cars basically, and Bamford was there a little bit as well, and basically Thomas unfortunately fell back, so I was left on my own to fight against the Pelfrey cars, and yeah, it was really good racing every lap. We were fighting for the lead, lead changes every single lap, more than once a lap. And
towards the end, it was kind of the 3 of us, me, Andrew, and Scott, and tried to line up the draft in the last lap, and thought I might have it going up the back straight, and just didn't really have the lane that I thought I had. So didn't end up taking the win, but again, really happy with P2.
A little while later, it was time for round 3 of the weekend and round 9 of the 2015 season at VIR. The gloves were essentially off. Jordan Kane would be starting at the back again, but he'd find his way quickly to the front, disposing of most of the field to find his way to the top 2. Could Scott Andrews pull off the triple? 3 wins in 28 hours? It's a rare occurrence, but it wouldn't happen. He was forced off the track and forced to pit road to clean out the car. Back at the front of the field, it would turn into a race between all 4 Pelfrey cars, Masters Class veteran Steve Bamford, Skylar Robinson, and Thomas McGregor. Of course, all of these drivers have yet to win a race in 2015, and could be said they were equally hungry. Andrew Hobbs had started on pole multiple times this season as he looked for a way to the race lead in the midpoint of the event. One turning point of the race would be when Thomas McGregor found his way to the lead and quickly out of it with some car-to-car contact. Austin Mack and Art Foster would slot into 2nd and 3rd, Bamford into 4th, and Ben Oriyama would make an interesting move around McGregor that wouldn't work. On the last lap, Robert McGinnis found his way to the lead, and Steve Bamford wasn't far behind. Bamford sliding around McGinnis to take the lead, and it would come down to these 2 on the last lap, with McGinnis using his Pelfrey power around Bamford into the roller coaster, and it looked like he had the win until Bamford pulled out at the line to take his 2nd ever F1600 victory, 365 days since his first at VIR.
It's going to have to be close to the last lap, where I got passed on the back straight, but then was able to line up a pass coming down the front straight.
It was a crazy 3 races at VIR, with Scott Andrews taking 2 wins against Steve Bamford's 1. For our partners, Honda Performance Development and the F1600 Championship Series, I'm Monty Matheson. Thanks for watching.